Contemplations before chanting. The Sangha is invited to come back to our breathing, so that our collective energy of mindfulness will bring us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, chant as one body, listen as one body, and transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex.
May the day Dear respected Thay, dear beloved community, today is June the 6th in the year 2022. We are in the Upper Hamlet. We are all sitting in the Stillwater Hall. We are in our retreat. Now we have a path. We have nothing more to fear. I spent a lot of time in this meditation hall walking with Thay. In the Upper Hamlet, we had the great privilege for 3 months. Thay would spend time with us every day. And he would join us for sitting meditation and slow walking meditation. I already told a lot of our friends in the Upper Hamlet about this story, but I want to share with the larger community. In 2009, our Sangha was growing rapidly. And Thay saw that many people couldn't sit in the hall with Thay. And Thay felt it was so important that everybody can be in the same space because we believe in the collective energy of mindfulness and in the collective energy of peace and in the collective energy of stillness. And when we were redesigning this hall, I was still very young. I was very ambitious. And I wanted to make this hall 4 times bigger. And to do that, we would have to break down all of the walls to expand it. But as we were doing it with Thay, Thay saw our plan and just said, why are you removing the walls? And I said, Thay, because I want it bigger and grander so everybody can be in your presence. And Thay reflected and he said, no. You can only take down the front wall and extend it longer, like a baguette, like a French baguette, but not like a big loaf of bread. And Thay said, you know, in the future, Thay will not be here. But all of Thay's students and all of the ones who have been touched by Thay's teaching, at one point, they will arrive in Plum Village. And they want to be in the place where he sat, in the place where he walked. And so they can feel his energy and they can feel his presence. And Thay said, Thay has sat here for more than 30 years. So Thay is in this wall, is in the windows, in this meditation hall. Because every step that Thay took, Thay practiced to arrive in the here and now. And so his mark of presence is here. I was very young and I was like, oh, come on, Thay, we gotta. But I said, yes, teacher. You are much wiser. And of course, fast forward, now it's such a beauty that we can be in the space where he sat, where he offered teachings, and where he left his mark of presence. In the school of Buddhism, we have many teachings, many Dharma doors that we can put into practice so that we can touch liberation, touch freedom. There are 3 doors of liberation, the 3 Dharma seals. But in Plum Village, we also have 4 Dharma seals. Sister Jung Duk yesterday gave an arch of the 4 Dharma seals. But I was asked today to go deep into the first Dharma seal. I have arrived and I am home. I have arrived and I am home is the Plum Village anthem. It is the Plum Village Dharma seal that if any of the teachings of Plum Village contradicts and goes against I have arrived and I am home, it is not Plum Village teaching. And this was told by our teacher, Thay. And I have arrived, I am home is also the essence of the teaching of the Buddha, of knowing how to dwell happily in the present moment. This is the key for all of us to feel and to be alive and to connect to the wonders of life. We have such strong habits of running, of looking into the future, or of running back to the past. And we don't have enough capacity to dwell in the present moment. It sounds very simple, but it is a lifetime practice. And we have to understand the teachings are a practice. They are a journey. That's why we say the practice is like a path we always have to walk. And as we walk the path becomes clearer and brighter. And sometimes the path may be covered up by some thorns, some weed, and we have some tools to help trim it. And these tools are the practices that we bring into daily life. When we wake up and we know that we have 24 brand new hours, we can smile. We know I have 24 brand new hours to live. Can I touch the here and now in this 24 hours? Or do we wait all the way 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, or 50 years? And we know that our time is coming to an end, and we said, wow, if only I live a little bit more deeply. But here the key in this first seal is that life is always available, is always present. With one mindful in-breath, one powerful step of presence can allow us to touch the wonder of life. This is it. Thay has this calligraphy. This is it. And if we can touch that, we feel more free. But our insights also comes and go. Our experience also comes and go. And sometimes we may feel that we arrived today, but tomorrow we feel a little bit less of arriving. But we have trust in ourselves and we have confidence. Because if I can taste it today, if I can touch the seal today, I know I can touch it again tomorrow. This is when we speak about faith. We have to have faith in our own ability of the practice. Faith in touching the freedom that is available for us. In this retreat, it is like the rule, whenever we hear the sound of the bell, we all are invited to stop and to come back to our breathing. But are we actually doing that? Or do we say, okay, fine. Because everybody's doing it. Or do we actually say, wow, this is a moment to be alive. This is a moment to breathe in this air, to take in this collective energy of stopping, of resting. When we made the bell tower in 2003, we knew Thay would give it a name. And I wanted something a little, I was hoping that he would give it a very cool name, like nirvana or like liberation or enlightenment, something a little bit mystic in a way. But Thay said, đã về đã tới. I have arrived, I am at home, I am home. And I said, Thay, that's too basic. That's too fundamental. And Thay said, have you touched it yet? I wanted to lie. I wanted to say sometimes. But I said, not as much as I should, Thay. And so we know that in our tradition, in our spirit of practice, and in our spirit of teaching, we always have to ask ourselves, have I practiced the sitting, the walking, the deep listening, drinking the cup of tea, and arriving with that cup of tea? Have I drank the cup of tea and be in touch with the source of the tea leaf, the clouds that have helped the tea manifest? Or am I just drinking it as a means? Or am I drinking my projects, my worries, or what I should do next? We can always measure and reflect ourselves in our practice. Just asking ourselves, what is the quality of my tea drinking today? Am I at the tea house making a cup of tea and looking for someone to talk to? Because I feel lonely. I feel not comfortable just to be by myself. Am I always searching? I have arrived, I'm at home, is asking us, are we touching the present moment? Are we comfortable to be ourselves? Are we comfortable to also recognize the habits? I'm searching, I'm looking. And am I giving myself the instruction to be with the uncomfortable sensation and also embrace the uncomfortable sensation and to transform it? Tell my loneliness, I know you are there and I will take care of you. You come from my ancestor, my parents, because they haven't had the chance to touch the present moment. And they may lived in a different era of us. They had to run. They had to look for food every day. Some were slaves. And so their survival instinct was very strong. And so their suffering was very big. And so as their child, as their continuation, we also inherit that. And in our practice, when we say, I have arrived, I am at home, it's not just for us. We can arrive and be at home for also our parents. Maybe in this lifetime, they might not have the conditions to truly enjoy that freedom of not worrying. But as their continuation, as their son, their daughter, as their children, we can touch that freedom for them. We can arrive for them. If we don't arrive for them, it's like we're doing them disservice. It's like they have struggled so hard for us to have a good future, to have safety. And now we have more conditions than them. But we don't know how to take care of the present moment, to honor all of their sacrifices, honor all of their worries. And so when we touch, I have arrived, I am at home. It goes deeper than just you. It is also a transformation for all of our families, all of our ancestors. As a young novice, we were trained, when you line up at the table, that is practice already. When you look at the food, you're judging good food, bad food. Oh, fried tofu today. A little more. And for myself, I always realized I had a fear of not having enough. And every time I eat with my eye first, I make sure I fill my bowl like a little hill. And a lot of the times, I never enjoy near the end because I'm forcing myself to eat, because I also don't want to waste food. And one day I just sat there in the dining hall. I said, why? Why do I do this to myself all the time? I know that after 2 sound of the bell, if I'm still hungry, I can go back and get more food, if there still is. But why do I always have this tendency? And I said, aha. Mother, father, ancestor, this is you. This is the fear and the worry that you live with. And I have inherited that. And when I understood that, I touched a sense of freedom. Because now I have a chance. I have an opportunity to transform this for them. So every time I get food, we always take just enough and try not to waste food. And it is a practice as simple as that that can lead to transformation. Because if I transform it, my continuation doesn't have to transform it. Because I will transmit to them moderation, transmit to them, this is enough. So we see that in just this first Dharma seal, I have arrived, I am home. It is the key to transforming the past and taking care of the future. Because I have arrived, I am at home, gives us the ability to truly be alive. In our teacher's latest book, Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet, Thay speaks of 3 qualities that we have inside of us. The first quality is a meditator, a spiritual dimension. We all have a spiritual seed in us. And you don't have to be Buddhist to have a meditator quality. When you can come back to your in-breath and out-breath, and you can sit still and feel at ease with that stillness, that meditator becomes alive. That meditator is an element that we know it is so crucial in today's time when there's a tendency to keep running into the future or running with the sensation of fear, of worries and anxiety. And it is this meditator inside of us that helps us slow down and to truly look at the situation with clarity and to see what to do and what not to do. It is like in a ship that is sinking. If everyone panics, we're going to flip the boat even faster than the time that it takes for it to sink with just that leak. So in a crisis, we have the tendency to fight, to run, to do something in order to fix the situation, but with the energy that is not calm and clear. And so the meditator tells us, this is the present moment. There is a situation. How can I take care of it in the best capacity? How can I do it as an individual? And how can I do it as a collective? This is the meditator. This is engaged Buddhism. The meditator doesn't only belong in this meditation hall, in this practice center. The meditator is a portable monastery that we take with us. Anywhere we go, if you tap into mindfulness, the seed of mindfulness, the seed of concentration, we will have some insight. And the insight is also like a living organism. It can grow with our practice. And do not become attached to your insight, because your insight can also grow. If you attach to your insight, then you won't be able to grow. It's like when we're walking up ladders or steps, we arrive at step number 5. We may feel some ease, some comfort, but we know that we still need to continue the journey. And we also have to be ready to let go of step number 5, to take the next step. So insight, these 3 trainings, mindfulness, concentration, and insight. Smrti, Samadhi, Prajna on our seal over there. It is also portable. It goes with us. And it also belongs in, I have arrived, I am home. I am always encouraged with the story of Thay he shared with us when he learned that he was exiled and he couldn't return home. You can only imagine the kind of sensation and feelings that will manifest in a person. Because we know our teacher was also a human and he needed support. And he would explain it was like a cell removed from the body of all of his support, all of his companions, all of his brothers, sisters, siblings. And suddenly, he was alone in the West. And I'm sure at that time, a monk was very rare. And with all the eyes that are directed towards you, and it was the practice of I have arrived, I am at home, that allowed Thay to not lose his aspiration, not fall into despair, and not be a victim of it, and make the best situation out of this crisis. This is the situation. What can I do? Do I give up? It's easy to give up. And nobody would judge us because it's such a difficult situation. But the meditator comes in and says, let's take care of our emotions first. Our emotion is a storm right now. It's giving a lot of ideas. It's drawing a lot of pictures. And let us ease the mind so that we can look at the present moment and see what can we do. And for Thay realized is that home is not only in Vietnam. Anywhere that we may find ourselves and we can touch the present moment, that is our true home. Thay used to have a calligraphy that he put at his hut, and he put it at the window facing out. It says, "Welcome to the present moment." And it's an invitation, and it is also our destination, the present moment. So in any circumstance that we may find ourselves in, these practice of arriving, practice of mindfulness, tells us not to take for granted what we have. It can also be used for when we are in a good condition, when we are happy. Do you recognize that you are having a non-toothache moment? That is Thay's teaching. Or do we wait until we have a toothache and we suffer and we say, "Oh, yesterday was so much better when my tooth wasn't in pain." But right now, we are not in pain, I hope. And can we enjoy the simple happiness? I have a lot of stories with Thay because I was his attendant. And I have a very fun story in this hall. A dear Upper Hamlet guest, is, you can hear it again, but for a lot of our other retreating in the other hamlets, they didn't have a chance. There was one morning, we were doing slow walking in this meditation hall with Thay. And with Thay, we're all doing our best. And we used to have a dog in our community. His name was Cacahuete. It means peanut. And Cacahuete was part of our family. He knows our schedule very clearly. We go to sitting, he also joins, but he sits outside. And that morning, as we were walking, the dog kept barking. And we're like, we're with Thay. Stay in the present moment. But it kept barking and barking and barking. And one brother was too curious. So he opened the window, and he looked, and there was a fire. And he screamed, "Fire! Fire!" In that moment, we forgot slow walking meditation, and we all sprinted out of the meditation hall. And as we all ran out, we looked back, and Thay was mindfully walking. Thay saw all his students ran away, and Thay was still just walking mindfully, skillfully, beautifully out of the meditation hall. And this story always stays with me, especially when I'm in a difficult situation. I always ask myself, am I running or can I walk beautifully like Thay did, even if there was a fire? Because I am sure Thay was attentive and he saw that this hall is not going to burn down. It's still a little flame. We can take care of it. In that moment, I realized the step Thay was taking was the seal of I have arrived, I'm at home. I know how to handle this situation. It doesn't need me to run right now. I can still walk out beautifully at ease. And what have we learned a lot in school, especially in the West? When there's a fire, order is good, right? Not panic and run out. And Thay was doing that, but all of us weren't. So this element of presence is also what will help us to communicate and have relationship. When you can arrive with yourself, you can be at home with yourself, you have a power of presence. And a power of presence is the key to communication. It's the key to building a sangha. It's the key to building a harmonious group of people. Because we live not up here with our ideas and thoughts, but we live with our presence so that we can listen, so that we can look at the person and hear them share. And we hear them share even beyond the words that they are saying, because you can feel their energy. Sometimes just by being present and listening to our brother, our sister, our sibling, is already the first step to reconciliation. It's the first step of building. But if we're all not listening to each other, there's no hope in building a harmonious sangha. There's no hope in building a collective energy of practice. This is very important. We have to be able to invest in our presence every day. We have to invest in the quality of arriving and being at home. Because if we can arrive, we also are trusting ourselves. We trust our own capacity of offering. You know, every time before coming to the Dharma talk, Thay has a rhythm. He's not sitting there preparing for the talk. His rhythm is drinking a cup of tea, enjoying the present moment, and not interacting with guests. And on the way to the hall, walk firmly with every step, arriving into the present moment. And when he comes to the hall to offer, he sees that he is not offering as an individual. Because in the moment when he is arriving, he invites his ancestors to be present, spiritual and blood. And he feels that he is offering with them. And he touches also no self. And this is where he gets all of this energy in order to offer. And you have to be very present in order to offer a teaching so that everyone can receive it. And now, as his continuations, we all do that. And we know that is a key that allows us to also touch our teacher inside of us. Before the talk, your mind, or a presentation, your mind is anxious. Am I going to do a good job? And your mind creates many scenarios. And at that time, you have to guide the mind. And you have to let yourself touch the peace in you. And you know, you can feel your body. Your body is an indicator if you have arrived or not. Can you feel the tension in your body? Is your shoulders tense? Is your jaw tight? Whenever I'm nervous, I shake a lot. And when I was learning to give public speeches, the first row was as a work coordinator. And just standing in front of my own community, I get very nervous, and when I talk, I start to shake. Dear brothers, we need a few brothers to clean the toilet. Come on, raise your hands. And you start to get anxious. Are they going to do it? And one day, an elder brother right beside me, and he just put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Be still, my younger brother." And as he did that, I eased into my body. I was more confident, and I shared what needed to be done. And everyone was willing to support, because in your mind, you're already just creating different scenarios. But if you can be in the presence with that power of here and now, things will work out. And even if it doesn't, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And we don't let ourselves be carried away by our own fear, our own anxiety. And so now that becomes my bell of mindfulness. Whenever I get tense, I get fear, I get anxious, I know what to do. I listen to my body. I relax my body. And I practice walking meditation, or drinking a cup of tea, or we can invite our loved ones to be present with us so we don't feel alone. And you can feel their support. Right before this talk, I was doing walking meditation just in front of the hall. And I did say, "Thay, you're welcome to enter anytime. I know you are there, and I'm very happy." And this is not superstition, because everything that I'm offering, it comes from Thay. And it comes from his spiritual teacher and the Buddha. So I also am practicing to be free from my own ego and to be free from pride. There was a very beautiful my dictionary is empty right now. Beautiful moment. We were at the Hermitage. That's where Thay stays, and Thay wrote a lot of books there. And that day, the Parallax team, the sisters and brothers who represent the Parallax publishing house, came to the Hermitage with a lot of joy. And they said, "Thay, your new book came out. Fresh out the press, right? So still hot." So they brought so much excitement, because a book, it takes many, many hands to bring it together. And they offered it to Thay. And Thay took the book, and he went into his library. And in his library, he has an altar of his father, his mother, his teacher, and the Buddha. And Thay placed the book on the altar. And Thay practiced touching the earth deeply 3 times. And I was so moved. So I followed Thay. I touched the earth with Thay 3 times. And Thay didn't say anything. But at that moment, I saw that Thay was honoring all of the ancestors. Instead of saying, because the book clearly says, Thich Nhat Hanh. That's who wrote the book. And you can be proud, you can be prideful of that very moment. But in that moment, the first practice Thay did was to share the merit. was to honor all of the ancestral lineage before Thay. And that is to touch the emptiness in us. Because we cannot be by ourselves. We have to be with everything. We have to interbe with everyone. And so even though that book had Thay's name, but Thay knew that it wasn't his own wisdom, his own insight, but it is a continuation. And that moment, I was very touched. And I was very happy to witness that. Because I know that that is also the practice of humility. As a practitioner, we also have to have humility which offers us openness. If we are humble, then we can learn. But the more we accumulate knowledge and we keep it and we feel that we have the highest understanding, then communication is not possible. Because we're just attached to our own idea, our own theory, and we block communication. But if we have openness and we listen, then our sharing becomes very different. Our sharing is to build. Our sharing is not to punish or to belittle someone. And so when you are truly present, you also connect to the understanding that we have and the understanding of others, which allows us to also touch the suffering of the others. And that gives us compassion. When somebody has a wrong perception about you, it's very easy to become very protective and judgmental. And because they have a perception like that to us, we want to give them a different perception also. And this is just a cycle of suffering. But if you smile to it, say, oh, he or she or they have that perceptions towards me. Ask yourself, is it true? Am I like that? That's the first mirror. So next time somebody has a perception about you, instead of being angry, say, have I become more bitter? Am I actually like that? You can also be humble to yourself. And you can see if there are habits that we have gained that we don't know of. And so sometimes somebody's reflection may offer that side of us. And we look at it like our meditation, like we look at our breath. We can look at that perception. And if it is true, we can accept it and we can transform it. And if it is not true, we say, that is just a wrong perception. When the right time comes, I can share, we can undo the knot, undo the wrong perception, undo the mental formation. And this is, we can only do this when we arrive in the present so that we can look at it. Or else we're just going to be creating more stories. Thay says that our mind is like a non-stop radio station. And for me, like we are a non-stop storyteller also. Sometimes we go to a meeting already with stories. And we think that it will be like this because that person is like that. And then we keep that story alive in us. But if you actually come and open yourself to hear what he or she or they have to say, we also know that everyone has the capacity to transform. And so if we're truly open, we may see a new person in that person. And so this power of presence, which is in the Dharma seal of I have arrived, I am at home, is the key to building a healthy relationship. We know that to love is to be there. Our teacher has said this numerous times. If we want to love someone, we want to love our community, want to love our children, we have to have time to be there. It's so simple. But we have made it more difficult. And we have allowed our own minds to pull us away. There was a time I was very lost. I was very confused. And I couldn't feel at home here in Plum Village. And it was a lot of suffering. And I had a lot of thoughts. And one of the thoughts was, maybe I should leave monastic life. And I was very confused. And in my mind, in our consciousness, there's always the seed of not enough. It's not enough. I want more. And what is that more? I don't know. But I want something else. And then we start to create different scenarios. And we start to not be able to touch the wonder of the present moment. And around me, the life of the Sangha continued, retreats were happening, people were transforming, but I was a grumpy young monk. And I asked myself, it's not fair, why are they happy but not me? And I saw my brothers and sisters also very happy, very happy. And many saw me suffering also. And many brothers and sisters came up to me and said, Brother Phap Huu, can you come have tea with us? I knew they wanted to help me. But I said, no, I'm fine. I was doing the opposite of what Thay teaches us, to ask for help. And only at Lunar New Year, at Dut in Plum Village, is a very big celebration here. And we all visit each other's room. And that day, I couldn't enter any room. I just felt, my own mind created, I don't belong here. That was my feeling. And so I left the residence, and I asked myself, is it true that I don't belong here? Or is it yourself that you have created this story? And I saw that what I have done to my own self is I have closed all the doors for people to help me, for those to love me. And it's really interesting because I know what to do. As a practitioner, Thay has given so many tools. so many Dharma doors, so many passages, so many roads. But I just wasn't doing it. I just wasn't allowing myself to practice. And I realized I felt a little bit inferior, and I wasn't admitting it, or I felt a little bit superior to others, and I didn't admit it. And all of these complexes made me so shallow, and therefore I didn't see what was being offered in front of me. There was love that was there, but I closed my own heart to it. There was support that was there, but I didn't open the door for that support to come. And also, I didn't accept that I was weak and that I was vulnerable and that I had thoughts of wanting to leave the community. And when I finally said and accepted my own self, Phap Huu, you need help. My heart opens. The next time my brothers and sisters say, do you want to have tea? Yes. Can we do it right now? We are the tradition of here and now. Can we do it now? And things start to change. Because your own heart starts to change. Your mind becomes more open. And you learn to accept yourself more. I did have a very big feedback with one of my elder brother, who I really trusted. And Thay usually tell us that in this time, when we meet some difficulty, we maybe your teacher might not help, but it is a friend that may be the one to channel and open the door for you. And it was an elder brother who I grew up with, and sometimes he was like my role model. And that day I said, brother, can we sit? And he knew right away. He said, yes. And he allowed me to open my heart to share. And then he listened, no interruption. Didn't say if I had a wrong idea, wrong perception, I'm leading myself down the wrong path or anything like that. He just listened. And after I finished, he said, can I share now? I said, of course, Si An. That's why I want to have this conversation. And he said, Si Em, younger brother, you've lost faith in yourself and you've lost faith in the community. And my first reaction, no, I didn't. I said, no, I didn't. He said, shh. Listen. And he started to share with me where I have allowed myself to drown in my own thinking of the grass is greener on the other side. That the simple happiness that I had in front of me, I was taking it for granted. And it was that moment when I realized, I was losing faith in myself. And I was losing faith in my thought about the Sangha. And when he highlighted that for me, I looked at it, and I saw a lot of it was wrong perception. It was my own mind that was creating in order to accompany my narrative that I wanted. I wanted a narrative that would allow me to leave the Sangha easier. So I was creating this story. And he asked me at every moment the questions that I shared. He's like, is it true? And it's not true, son. Actually, I do get a lot of support. And we went down one thing at a time. And I start to see, wow, my own craving, my own desire was so strong without me even knowing. And I had to be humble to it. I had to say, I have to go back and practice again. There's a song called Một Mai Qua Cơn Mây in Vietnamese, and Thay redid it to make it dharmic. And there was, it's a love song. But Thay changed it, and there was one sentence, and it says, Cùng theo các em học hành như xưa. Sometimes we will have to just return and learn the practice and studies just like your younger ones. Just come back to the fundamentals. And in that moment, I was like, it's time to come back to the source, come back to the fundamentals, and take care of the meditator in you. And at that moment, I also realized I wasn't taking care of my joy. So the other element is that we all have in ourselves is an artist. You don't have to be a painter. You don't have to be a musician, a singer to be an artist. We all have the right to be creative, to look at our daily life and to see if there is enough nourishment. And am I giving myself enough time to enjoy the simplicity of life? Or is my projects overwhelming me? And my idea of happiness and my idea of joy is a destination. It's after I become successful, after I have solved this problem, after I have ended this suffering, then only joy is there. But what have we learned in the teachings of the Buddha is that suffering and happiness, they go together. So for us to wait until there is no more suffering, for us to be happy, that's a wrong view. That place doesn't exist. There's no perfect Sangha. There's no perfect community. And it is because we have difficulties, we have suffering. We have a chance to grow. We have a chance to do the internal work. So this is an invitation, because in the practice of I have arrived, I am at home, is also the answer to where is the Pure Land? Where is the kingdom of God? It is in the here and now. The beautiful trees, the blue sky, the beautiful flowers, if they don't belong to the Pure Land of the Buddha or the kingdom of God, where do they belong? And if we can't touch the beauty of the here and now, do you think we can touch it when we leave this planet and we think that there's another universe that we should arrive in for us to be happy? Because if we don't transform it now and we actually go to another place, we'll have suffering again. And that's why we still practice today after 2,600 years, because we still have suffering. But we can smile to the suffering. And we can see that the joy can be in the transformation of suffering. When I see that suffering is not just a burden, but it can be a joyful task, you have a new view on suffering. Your way of taking care of it is very different. You have energy. It offers you fulfillment. there's there's a student of Thay that's a businessman, and when Thay met him, Thay say, "What is more important, success or happiness?" And he thought the right answer was to be both. He said both. And Thay said, "Mm-mm." Thay said, "If everything is important, nothing is important. Choose." That's a strong koan to a businessman. Because our path, our whole career is just to be successful, to be number one. But then what happens when we're at number one? We're always still at fear of being number two. And we will never feel satisfied. Because what if someone else becomes number one? How do I keep myself as number one? That become then our occupation. And then we start to lose the present moment. So Thay said, you can become a victim of your success, but you will never be a victim of your happiness. You can be a victim of your success, but you will never be a victim of your happiness. Because if you have happiness, not having a fancy car, you're still happy. If you have touch, true love, true happiness in the here and now, nobody can take that away. Everything else are just material support. And this is also not just for that businessman, but for all of us to have time to, as an artist, as a creator, have creativity to look at what is our happiness right now. Am I taking care of that happiness? Do I feel fulfilled? Can I still nourish my Dharma body, my physical body, and my family? The teacher can only offer us the practice, but he or she or they can't do it for us. That would have been easier. But it is us, the individual, each one of us have to be a teacher and have to commit and invest in our meditator, our spiritual body. Be creative, finding moments of mindfulness in the day, finding moments of joy in the day. And the last is we all have a seed of a warrior. The warrior to take care of our loved ones. The warrior to take care of our community, our Sangha, our nation, the world, the planet. But if we also become a victim of the idea of success, of just solving problems, we also lose the present moment. So we have to practice aimlessness. Aimlessness is a teaching of the Buddha that tells us enjoy the process, enjoy the path. Don't wait until you feel you have succeeded to enjoy. There was a time Thay saw that the monks and nuns, we were just worrying about the success of a retreat. And Thay said, who is this retreat for? Do you think it's for all of the lay friends coming? They said, this retreat is also for you. Can you have joy while you serve? Can you have stability when you offer your presence to others? So even as a practitioner, we also could become a victim to our idea of success in the practice. Can you still enjoy the cup of tea or still thinking about the next project? This is me speaking to myself. I have had a shining light that said, Brother Phap Huu, you're becoming too much of a business monk. Ugh. Is that true? And I reflected, oh yeah, there are some elements that's true. I have a mantra, sometimes I say, you are partially right. Because there are some things that are there that they see. And I start to look back, and I do realize I have become too caught in the idea of success. I wait until June 17th to be happy. You know what June 17th is, right? This is true and not true. I've had that thought at the beginning. I was like, oh man, now we gotta go, and happiness will be on the last day of the retreat. And then I said, okay, Phap Huu, that's not, I have arrived, I am at home. I am enjoying so much of this retreat so far. And really coming back to the practice of aimlessness. I have saw that I have let go of so much opportunity of joy because of the idea that it is only happy when I'm done, happy when we are successful. But I don't enjoy the process. I've been a little bit stressed. I'm totally open. I've been a little bit stressed. We have the lamp transmission coming up. There's a lot of things to organize. And I just feel this pressure. But then yesterday we had a meeting with elder brothers and sisters to go through the program, to see who would transmit for who. And there was a moment, instead of having the idea, we need to end this meeting for it to be successful and everything is in order. That was my thought. But then I'm sitting with Sư Cô Trăng Không, Thầy Pháp Ứng, Sister Diệu Nghiêm, Sister Gina, Sister Trăng Đức, with such seniors in my community. What a joy. What a happiness. This is it. This is happiness. Then the process, the meeting becomes so happy. We listen to each other, and I learn from their experience. I learn from their wisdom. And so if we allow ourselves to practice aimlessness, to enjoy each process, we don't become a victim. Of course, we have to have aspiration. We have to have goals. They can be like a northern star for us. But that doesn't mean that that is happiness. If we can be happy now, when we finish the project, when we create something, we can equally enjoy that moment to the full content, with our full content. And this is what I realized in the last years of Thay with us, when I visit him in Vietnam. The way Thay looked at the community, even though Thay doesn't speak, but Thay was so present. Thay was so content. And he looked at all of us with almost like eyes of wonders. And it makes me very humble because he sees us as his continuation. And he knows that he is in us already. So there's no fear. There was one time, last story, one time, after the stroke and after the coma, we were taking care of Thay. And that day, I was just so curious. And it was only me and Thay. So I knelt down on my knees. And I asked Thay, Thay, are you afraid of dying? It was a burning question. And Thay looked at me. And he smiled. And he put his hand on my head. And he said, and he just looked at me and smiled. And I was so content. But I was at that moment, I was like, thank you, Thay. Because there was just a sense in me sometimes of how can I support you to my fullest. But if Thay is already free, Thay is already, I have arrived, I am at home. The best thing we can do is to arrive and be at home with Thay. Many has asked me to share more how to practice with their grandparents who are passing or are very old. And I just realized the best you can offer when you truly love someone and someone so dear is your true presence. Your true presence of not wanting anything from them. Just offering them that freedom to be present and that freedom to go when needed. And that takes practice because we have the fear of dying and we have the fear of losing those who we truly love. But if we offer them that freedom because we feel free inside, then we don't waste a single moment with them. Our true presence with them is the best we can offer. Then the way we care for them, every meal that we had with Thay was, this is a precious moment. Every time Thay would drink a cup of tea, I said, this is a wonder moment. And nothing is lost. Because both are free and you are free. And so by then, when the moment comes, we are human, so we are sad. We grieve, but we don't regret. Because we have offered them the best we can in our capacity. So this presence that we establish here today, we can take it anywhere with us. And when we are truly there for the ones that need our support and we are present, they feel it. 100% they feel it. Words doesn't need to be spoken, but they feel our support and our love because we are there with openness and we support them. I have arrived, I am home. Thay has given us this seal. Let us keep this seal alive. Let us imprint it with each step we take so that this land here can continue to have His presence, which is our presence. And it will be a Dharma seal that we will pass into the next generation, from generations to generation. I have arrived, I am at home. How beautiful. I am here for you. I know you are there, and I'm so happy. Thank you, dear Sangha.